Okay, so today we are going to discuss Hazrat Usman from P2 of O Levels Islamiyat. It's chapter 3, and we're going to discuss the B part question. Okay, write an account of the main activities of Hazrat Usman during his caliphate. The main activities was naturally the compilation of the Quran, and then the expansion of the Muslim Ummah also, and then the problems that he dealt in the end of his life. You could mention that, but we're not talking about that right now. Explain why Hazrat Usman encountered difficulties in the later years in the latter years of his caliphate and was assassinated. Latter also means later years, right? So why did he encounter, in other words, he did encounter difficulties, and these were in the later years of his caliphate, because remember, he reigned for around about 13 years. His caliphate was for 13 years. 13 years is a long time to rule as a caliph. Remember, Abu Bakr ruled for 2 years, Hazrat Umar ruled for 10 years, and Usman ruled for 13 years, and Hazrat Ali, he just ruled for 4 years, near to 4 years. So what was the difficulties that they faced, and which ended up in his assassination? That's what we're going to discuss. Now, nepotism. What was the difficulty that he was facing? He was facing the difficulty in which people were blaming him of nepotism. What is nepotism? Nepotism means favoring your family, usually your blood relations. Nowadays, it also includes your friends. If you're friends with somebody influential and you are benefiting your friends just because they know you. Nepotism is being, influenced. I mean, your family being benefited just because of the position that you are holding. Now, he was blamed of nepotism. It is said that the rebels, they blamed him of sending governors to different parts, whereas Muawiyah was already appointed as the governor, that he didn't appoint him. Hazrat Usman did not appoint him. Yes, he did choose some other governors, and they were related to him. So partially the blame could be accepted as right and could be accepted as wrong also, because not all were appointed by him. Only, I think, 2 were appointed by Usman. Misuse of wealth. He was also blamed that he was misusing the treasury, the Baitul Mal, whereas this is not true. Remember how Hazrat Usman was always very rich. When the remaining Muslims were poor, remember when they came to Medina, it was Hazrat Usman who bought the well that was for the Muslims to drink water from. So he was wealthy before. It is said that he was blamed that he, uses the money for his relatives and so on. Whereas he had so much money, I don't think he would need to use the money of the treasury. Well, everybody has their own opinion. Then he was also blamed for burning of the Quran. And we all know, I think you've all studied the compilation of the Quran. If you haven't, I just recorded it on YouTube for my YouTube channel last week. You can go there and try and find it there. Quran, remember, it was compiled during the time of Uthman. It was compiled on a single dialect, and 7 copies were made to distribute to the different provinces. Now, the remaining manuscripts that were different and based on different dialects, they were all burned. And remember, the Hazrat Usman could not do anything on his own. If the burning, if something was going to happen, the burning of the Quran, it was discussed in the Majlis al-Shura. There was no other way to dispose of the Quran because somebody may find it. Imagine if they decided to bury the Quran and not burn it. After so many years, imagine people excavating Quran based on a different dialect. Could you imagine how devastating that would be for the Muslim Ummah? People, opportunists would say that, okay, look, your Quran is different, and the Quran that you're reading now is different. So see, it's not maintained. It would have its drastic effects on the present day Muslims also. So burning of the Quran didn't leave a single word of the writing based on a different dialect to keep the Muslims' unity and to keep the sanctity of the Quran also, or it would have been maligned so many years later. So the Quran burning was also discussed in Majlis Shura. Everybody agreed to burn the Quran, but then the rebels, when rebels rebel against a country or a group or a person, they do it barely just for the sake of basically opposing. Okay, then forged letter. Now, the reason for his assassination was that a forged letter was sent by Marwan bin Hakam. Marwan was, I think he's the nephew of Hazrat Uthman. He was also the secretary of Hazrat Uthman. Now, when the rebels came into the city and they said that, okay, we want you to depose the governor of Egypt. And to settle the dispute, Hazrat Uthman said, okay, he sent the rebels back with a letter that, okay, the present governor right now will depose, and Muhammad bin Abi Bakr, he will be the next governor. But what happened, his own nephew, Marwan bin Hakam, he went against Usman, and he sent a fake letter, forged letter, in which he said that as soon as the rebels reach there, and as soon as Muhammad bin Abi Bakr reaches there, then kill them all. They should all be executed. Now, this letter, this forged letter from Marwan bin Hakam, Hazrat Uthman knew nothing about it. He didn't even know about it. And the rebels, when they were going back, they saw the person on the horse taking a letter, and then they pursued him. They went after him, they grabbed him, and they opened the letter, and it had the caliph's seal also. Like the seal of the Prophet ﷺ, there used to be stamps in which the Prophet used to the caliphs used to stamp with their seals on it. So the rebels, instead of going back to Egypt, they returned back to Medina. And that is when they encountered Usman, and they said that he has to abdicate from his office. And Hazrat Usman says, I've got nothing to do with this letter. I don't know where it's come from. I did not write it, but they kept on blaming him. They were already blaming him for nepotism. They were already blaming him for the misuse of wealth. They were already blaming him for the burning of the Quran. And now a plus point that was that they were blaming him because of this forged letter also. Now, this is the place where the situation turned really, really nasty. And then they laid a siege to Hazrat Usman's house. Hazrat Ali also tried to talk to them and tried to negotiate with them. Hazrat Ali also asked Hazrat Usman that, shall I bring in the Muslim army to, attack these people? But Hazrat Usman said that, no, this is a sanctuary. Remember, Medina was named as a haram, just like Makkah is a haram. So he said, no, I don't want the army, but I'm not going to abdicate. I'm not going to step down from office because all these allegations are false. Me stepping down from office means that I am agreeing to every accusation that they are laying upon me. Now, for the protection of Hazrat Usman, Hazrat Ali, can you see the response of the companions? Hazrat Ali sent his own sons, Hassan and Hussein, to guard Hazrat Usman's house so that the rebels would not attack. Now, the rebels were also claiming that they support Ali. They wanted Uthman off, and they wanted Hazrat Ali to, take the caliphate, right? But Hazrat Ali sending his own children to guard Hazrat Usman meant that, okay, if you're claiming to be supporters of Ali, then naturally, if my kids are standing outside the house, nobody will harm them, nobody will go in. But that proved wrong. When the rebels finally attacked after, I think, 40 days or 50 days, near of a month, they laid a siege in which the water, they would not let anybody taking water or food for Usman and his wife. And when they finally wanted to attack Usman and the day that they killed him, they literally injured Imam Hassan and Imam Hussein. So if they were, staunch supporters of Ali, then why would they harm Ali's sons? So they were just rebelling for the case of rebelling. This was a conspiracy started by Abdullah bin Sabah. Basically, he was a Jew who was acting like a Muslim. He was the one, because they realized that we can't overcome the Muslims by external force, like we can't fight against them because they're always going to come out winning. Let's try and ruin them, destroy them from within. And that was that was how they managed to destroy them from within. And because of this forged letter, then finally Uthman was assassinated, brutally assassinated, and then it was a cause of even more bigger fitna. Okay, another allegation was that he was very lenient with his officers and everything that was happening around. Yes, that could be to some extent. You could say, because if everybody was scared of him and he was not lenient, do you think the rebels would have come in that way? It was his lenience, and they saw that he's a soft person. That's why they took advantage of it. No strict accountability. Remember, at the time of Hazrat Umar, there was a strict accountability in which everybody was brought to account at the time of Hajj, and people could levy their complaints against any wali, any governor, and then it would be addressed there and then. Whereas this amal was discontinued during Hazrat Uthman's reign, and people took benefit out of it. I hope that answered the question. This again is a similar question like the question that I've just answered. What major events took place during the caliphate of Uthman? Explain why Uthman encountered difficulties in the later years of his caliphate and was assassinated. Exactly the same question.